Hello guys, welcome back to another video on the status forecast for the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over just the really big story in the next couple of weeks, whether it's going to be the frigid cold, well, at least for the next couple of days. We're looking at a potentially future warm-up around the end of this month into the first couple of months into February. But honestly, the big story out there today, and it's going to be for the next couple of days, is the frigid air out there. So right now, really you can tell where the frigid air is. Set in place in the northeast and upper plains, and it does hover around somewhere into the low parts of Ohio, the Ohio Valley, and into portions of the Great Lakes region. But as you can see in the south, where we had a historic snowstorm the other day, with historic totals by far margins, we had one area down in far Louisiana around the New Orleans area in Lafayette of around 12, I think it was like 12 inches of snow or something. So incredible snowstorm, and we had our first official blizzard warning ever for portions of southeastern Texas and southwestern parts of Louisiana. But right now, those areas are going to start warming up, and snowplows have had, obviously, we're going to have issues down there because we have snowplows. Don't have many snowplows down there, right? It's not going to be that big of an issue anymore, but tonight those temperatures will fall down back below the freezing mark. As you can see, temperatures in the Texas area across much of the Texas area, including the Texas Panhandle, around 50 degrees. 50 degrees on the southern parts of Louisiana dealing with temperatures between 40 and 60 degrees. The hot spot in the entire map once again remains to be near the far southwestern islands of Florida of 61 degrees, and we saw 71 reading a few weeks ago, remember that. But coldest temperature on the map right now looks to still remain, I guess, is Mount Washington in New Hampshire with a negative temperature reading of, I believe, negative 12 degrees. But with the gusty winds out there, that is not even settled in to be the coldest out there. Upper plains and northeast remain to be the hot spots, the major cold. Actually we have 70 degrees, 71 degrees near the San Diego and 75 near the Santa Barbara area. And those will not go well with the fires, as the fires are still continuing as gusty winds continue to persist. And the temperature will remain the major story of the next couple of days before we actually finally potentially may get a little bit of a warm up across the eastern half of the country. Now we're going to get into your watches, warnings, and advisories. Here's your watches, warnings, and advisories. Notice we have one particular map on the area on the map. This is near Montana, about the central area of Montana, of a blizzard warning. We have winter weather advisories that extend from about the we have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings across the areas not even in the United States of America. I don't believe this is actually in areas near Lake Superior. We have red flag warnings and high wind warnings and advisories up for the southeastern part of, or the southwestern part of California. We have a flood watch up for portions of, is that Colorado, I believe? Yeah. Winter weather advisories up for parts of Montana, and that goes along with a winter storm warning as well, and winter weather advisories as well. Wind advisory up for South Dakota, and winter weather advisories up for portions of, I almost want to say whatever that state that is. I don't exactly know. I don't remember all the states all the time, but in the upper plains, you're dealing with a wide variety of alerts from winter weather advisories all the way up to blizzard warnings, as well as wind advisories and winter weather advisories as well. One spot particular on the map right now, we are seeing a freeze warning and freeze watch for areas of Florida and Georgia that typically don't see these sorts of things. Southeastern Georgia is dealing with a freeze watch, and far northern areas of Florida are dealing with a freeze watch as well as a freeze warning. Here we go. We're going to get into the future, also flash flood watch in parts of Colorado. Now we're going to get into your future temperatures, really. So again, the temperatures are going to remain the major story for the next couple of days. The temperatures will not really let out until probably the end of this month, before we finally get some warm-ups in the action. But these are going to be looking at your low night temperatures tonight, I guess. This isn't quite accurate, but you get the general idea. So it's very cold in the northeast right now. As we go down through tonight, the temperatures are going to only get colder for portions, especially in the southern states, where we're currently seeing 30s and 40s, where you will be going down to the 20s once again tonight, which will only lead to more, probably refreezing of that snow melting. As we go through the next couple of days, the temperatures are just going to stay frigid. They're not really going to let up, and that snow accumulation is going to really stay. But also, anytime that we get the temperatures up over the 32-degree mark in parts of these southern states, they saw the snow, and then during the nighttime hours we go back down to the freezer with temperatures only getting into the 20s. You can definitely tell we're going to be dealing with the melting and refreezing, so it's not that good. And they don't have many salter crews out there as far as snow projects and everything, so this is going to make for potentially another disaster in the south. But temperatures remain frigid in the southeast and upper plains as well as the Great Plains and parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley, and this goes to the Midwest as well. As we go to the next couple of days, again, these temperatures really stay frigid. They don't really let up. It's not until we get into the later part of this month and before we actually get any warm-ups. But again, these temperatures remain the cold story for much of the northern half of the country, and that does remain for the eastern half of the country as well. Finally, we'll get some warm-ups in the south. This is not until we get, and then these temperatures will become a little more variable and a little bit more reasonable with temperatures getting into the 40s. But overnight lows will still be on the chilly side of things, especially for these areas down in the south that don't typically experience temperatures just cold. And then in the northeast it will remain cold, but doesn't. And then we're watching another Arctic blast for potentially the northeast on the 30th and 31st to 32nd potentially. That could drop temperatures in a single digit, and if not below zero in many spots. So as you can see, one spot, there we go. This is Wednesday. We're dealing with temperatures in southern Maine. But as you notice, those areas that saw the snow are going to be warming back up to where they typically are this time of year, or somewhere around they are. That snowpack will finally get to melt, but obviously 11 inches isn't going to melt that fast, so it's going to take at least a couple of days with 50 plus degrees temperatures to get that snow to melt properly. But Maine is going to be dealing with some very frigid temperatures, probably on the 29th and 30th first, as these temperatures do not really want to seem to give up that cold. But finally, this is when you get into the melting process of snow, the major melting process of snow. I would not be surprised if floodwatches and warnings get worn down in parts of Louisiana and some of these southern states that just got snow, because 11 inches of snow is going to cause big flood issues if you have temperatures going in the 60s. Even though you have no rainfall, typically these areas don't really see snowfall. As we continue, these temperatures remain frigid on the northern half of the country, and notice it's kind of a 75% of so the western half of the country and the southern half of the country and southeastern half of the country is dealing with warmer than average temperatures. Not warmer than average temperatures, but you get what I mean. And colder than average temperatures in the northeast. So the temperatures, again, potentially another, again, through about the 28th through the 28th through the 2nd or so, we're going to be dealing with frigid temperatures across the northeast. And before we finally get a little bit of a warm up, but notice those temperatures come crashing down once again in the upper plains where we were predicting this entire time to get colder temperatures. And then here we go, another Arctic blast potentially. On the 6th, we get, wow, that's cold, negative teens in the Ohio Valley and Midwest. And that freezing line does once again get down to southern Louisiana as well, and Texas, and it's cold. Let's see what the GFS model wants to put on here. So here's the GFS model. So again, as we go on, it's going to be cold through the 25th through about the 2nd for parts of the northeast. We'll get a little bit of a cool down, major cool down through the 29th. But this is a good thing for the southeast that typically don't see snow, but it's also a bad thing for people down here because it's going to cause probably some flooding with areas around Lafayette. We got around 12 inches of snow, I believe. But it's going to remain cold, and it gets really cold probably on the 31st for parts of Maine. And then we are looking at not much of a warm-up, but it's a little bit of a warm-up. And then things get cold again. But yeah, that's really the main story. Now, with these, combined with the wind, so the particular areas that I would expect to see the most amount of freezing temperatures is probably in the upper plains, probably around that south and North Dakota area, up the Great Lakes region, obviously, and potentially even parts of the southeast, where these wind gusts will get over 20 miles per hour at times. As we continue on to the next couple of days, obviously, people in the California area won't be seeing much relief from those gusty winds leading to more wildfires, but it's going to remain cold. And as you continue on, upper plains into through the Great Lakes region dealing with gusty winds, this will once again lead to more cold conditions, probably well below zero. I want to go through. Oh, we get a little bit of cold front coming through. So I've been looking at this cold front, and this cold front looks like it might bring some snowfall activity to the northeast, but also some gusty winds. Yeah, gusty winds. So potentially, again, those temperatures might only be in the 20s and those teens to near 20, and then for, well, I don't even know, but single digits, that's going to lead to below zero temperatures. And yeah, and potentially we'll have to watch these areas of low pressure. And then that's for the next couple of weeks. So we're going to go with the GFS model now. So here's the GFS model. So again, areas that would likely be experiencing the most coldest conditions will be the upper plains and parts of Colorado, and of course the Great Lakes region, because they're getting lake enhanced snow, lake effect snowfall. But really these gusty wind areas are going to be experiencing very cold conditions. And it's not usual for parts of the southeast that deep in the south to see cold temperatures like this. But here we go. Lots of cold air coming with these gusty winds. So here's the GFS model for those wind chill values. Again, this is very rare for portions of Louisiana to be below zero for wind chill values. But as you can see, it remains cold through parts of the upper plains and northeast, and obviously the eastern half of the country. It gets cold around the 25th or 26th in parts of the upper plains. And then we don't get much of a warm-up until later this week, until probably this next week, before we finally see some warm-ups in the south. And then look at this in the parts of the northeast. That's crazy temperatures right there. That's cold temperatures. And then potentially another cool down comes through on the 7th. What does the European model think about this? The European model specifically. So here we go. So it remains cold through the northeast due to these wind chill values. And then it stays cold in the southeast. And those temperatures don't really look like they're going to cool off until we finally get into the 26th or 27th, before we finally get a break in the action. And they become a more reasonable and allow that snow to melt. But it was cold in the northeast, and then when that secondary cold spell comes through, look at that. That's crazy. I want to go through to about the 28th when we get really cold. Look at these temperatures. The wind chill values, as well as 30 to 36 below in parts of Maine, as well as Canada. And then we finally get another cool down. So I also want to talk about the precipitation. Obviously, the big story yesterday and the other day was the major winter storm that happened in the south with historic snowfall and other historic things. The first ever blizzard warning issued in parts of southeastern Texas and southwestern Louisiana. But there's some more things that we need to look forward to, okay? So we're going to get a little bit of a quiet pattern through the next couple of days before things may get a little bit interesting in parts of Texas with some scattered showers and thunderstorms. But then I'm watching this particular cold front in the northeast with a 975 millibar low. It brings the potential for some snow squalls and snow showers. And that swipes through the state of Maine. And then things become interesting. So we get this area of low pressure potentially through the 30th. It comes through as a clipper system. And then moves through, and then it quickly, I just want to just watch this really fast, okay? So it looks like a pretty tight nor'easter, but then watch this. It drops, that's crazy. It drops to a 978 millibar low, and then it gets out of here. And then we get a little bit of warm-up, a big warm-up actually. And we get a little bit of a wind and rain event for the northeast. So that comes through. And then potentially another winter-like storm for parts of the Midwest, and that runs through the mid-Atlantic, and then eventually through the northeast New England. But what does the GFS model have for us? So the GFS model, so again, it stays pretty quiet, maybe some scattered showers throughout the southeast with, oh, that's actually surprising. The GFS model is hinting at maybe some rain showers and snow showers for parts of the areas that have actually experienced the wildfires. And I believe the European model was doing the same thing. I have to look at that again. I wasn't really focusing on that area. But here we go. Yeah, so the European model also does show that. So that's good. That's good news for parts of this, for the southwestern Florida, southwestern California that have seen those wildfires. Things become a little more uncertain. The GFS model also hinting at some sort of winter weather event in the northeast with a potential strong low pressure system probably bringing some gusty winds and snow showers and snow squalls that swipe through the state of Maine as well. Lake enhanced snowfall starts, and then we get a little bit of a system that forms in the southeast, and then this rides up, stays cold enough to be pretty much all snow for the northeast, well, at least interior New England. and then potentially, not really a nor'easter because it doesn't really have the gusty wind effect, but then it goes through there, then we get another system that comes through. So now we're looking at the snowfall accumulations. So for snowfall accumulations, this looks through the next couple of weeks. So most of the snow is happening in the northern half of the country, not so much the southeastern half of the country. So northeastern New England, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, Upper Plains, Central Plains, Midwest, Great Lakes region, Pacific Northwest areas in the California area that don't typically see, that have not been seeing snow, will get a benefit from potentially historic wildfires. We'll get a finally relief from those historic wildfires. Really, it's the northern half of the country that is dealing with snow rather than the southern half of the country. Let's see what the European model has to offer. So the European model, let's see what it does with this. So once again, European model basically on board with this situation as well. Lots of snow for the northeastern New England, not so much the northeastern half of Maine, but for the for pretty much the entire northern half of the country is dealing with some sort of snow. Only areas that will probably not be seeing snow. That's why we said this historic snowfall and this historic winter storm in the south will probably be a once-in-a-lifetime deal. It's probably because of this. We will likely not be seeing another winter storm, but I will still not rule it out due to potentially the Euro and the GFS model, the European model and the GFS model hinting at a major cooldown towards the first week of February, which typically we do see a lot of winter storms during the month of February in the United States. But obviously, areas that typically don't see snow will remain without snow. Obviously, maybe some areas in far northwestern areas of Texas might see some snow, but I don't think even the GFS model was indicating at that. I have to look back at it, but basically the northern half of the country will be dealing with some sort of snow. Most of them will be following the mountains of California, the Pacific Northwest, specifically the mountains, and once again the mountains of Colorado, the Midwest, along with the Great Lakes region, and areas that typically would see snow this time of year are in the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and New England. So, with that being said, the Climate Prediction Center has come out with a 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and this puts much of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic under either a leaning below or a below average temperatures, with not very good likelihoods. But once again, we're seeing pretty cold temperatures up in the Northeast right now. Only areas that, for some reason, they have it up here for the 6 to 10 day outlook, which I don't know if I saw that, but above average temperatures for the upper plains, and that does clip parts of the Great Lakes region and into the Midwest. And then above average temperatures for portions of the southeast that just saw snow, which is kind of odd, because you get snow and then you get cold and then you get above average temperatures directly after. So for the most likely above average temperatures would likely be the center of the upper plains, the center of the southern half of Louisiana, and the far southern half of Florida. That goes along with Louisiana as well. Below average temperatures likely for portions of the Pacific Northwest, and pretty much a good portion of California, and this does go through portions of Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. And for the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, as far as the Climate Prediction Center goes, we're thinking below average temperatures are likely for portions of the Northeast, specifically interior Northeast and New England, above average temperatures in the Midwest and the central United States. That goes all the way through with 60 to 70% chance of seeing a more than likely above average temperatures for the most of the state of Florida, and that does go through portions, pretty much the entire south. And then another bullseye for portions in New Mexico, or not New Mexico, but Nevada, with a bullseye for above average temperatures. Pacific Northwest and clipping the upper plains, looking at below average temperatures, and below average temperatures for the far southern half of California, as well as the southwestern side, the far southwestern half of Arizona. So yeah, that's really that. That's really that. Really, it's going to be the major cold for the next couple of days. We'll be looking likely at a potential warm-up for the southern half of the country, and this might even clip portions of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast during the later half of this month. And then through the first couple of months in February, it looks really cold for much of the country. But yeah, that's really going to do it. So if you guys did enjoy this weather forecast and want to see more content like this, again, I'm trying to stay daily as much as I can. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to reach 50 subscribers. And who knows, we might even get more than that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, Stay safe out there as always, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.